Hello, human family. I'm Jocelyn, and I am grateful you're here. Welcome to the Starting with Gratitude podcast. This is a safe space intended to host heart-centered conversations exploring all topics of the human and spiritual experience. Every conversation starts with gratitude and remains rooted in gratitude. After you listen, make sure to join the community by subscribing and sharing. I am so happy you have joined us. Hello, Jasmine.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful and I'm excited to see what comes about in this conversation. What are you or how are you currently feeling? How is your heart feeling?
I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling accomplished. I'm feeling appreciative. I'm feeling exhausted, to be real, but I'm also happy because I feel like the year is ending and, everything's kind of coming to a close, and I'm excited for all to come next year.
Yeah. We're going to get into this year's reflections as we're already kind of like in a reflective season. But I'm going to have you share with us what it is that you feel grateful for.
I feel grateful, number one, throughout like the past year and a half, 2 years, for good health. It's been so crazy. Like, I did have COVID actually in March, and like, it's just luckily, me and my friend were talking about it. Luckily, like, we are in the position to be able to, take care of ourselves, quarantine, get the rest and isolation that we needed. And I know that not everyone can do that. So I'm feeling super grateful to have bounced back from that and still been able to go back into, the work field and do my thing. So I'm super grateful for health. I'm grateful for good health for my family and friends as well. Luckily, everyone was safe and didn't, get too sick or anything during this year and a half. And I'm also just I'm grateful for life in general, but really for like the opportunities that have been presented to me this year. Like, I think obviously we'll get into it, but I just feel like this year has been really eye-opening. And, again, during the pandemic, while people are noticing what's important to them and what makes them happy and what they value, what they truly value and stuff, I'm just really grateful that I have been able to do what I love and not feel pressured or stressed to do otherwise. So I'm grateful for that as well.
Would you say you feel like you're in alignment with like your purpose and what you're passionate about?
Yeah, actually, yes. I really have started feeling like that since 2019, like really grateful. But prior to 2019, I was feeling really like not defeated, but just almost like, what's happening? I've been at this for so long. I feel, you know, just not, and I still have so much room to grow and like achieve my long-term goals, but I just was feeling like I'm hitting a wall. I'm constantly putting in work effort, and I wasn't feeling fulfilled from the stuff that I was doing. I still was at my part-time job, like really dreading going in, but like having this passion for what I do now. So yeah, I feel like in the past 2-3 years, the alignment has been crazy. And I really like, even though it's a bit cliche, I really like the trust the process saying, because it makes sense now why everything happened the way it happened at the time that it happened, because I don't think I would have been mentally, emotionally, physically prepared for what I'm doing now, like 4 or 5 years ago, when I thought that that's what I needed,
Mm-hmm.
um, So yeah, I do feel like everything is aligned and everything's been really, really working out in my favor.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned that this year was and has been a very eye-opening year for you. What would you say is one of, your favorite self-realizations that you've had?
Kind of to what I was saying earlier about just trusting the process and knowing that if you are intentional, if your heart is in the right place and you're putting in the effort, the outcome will always be in your favor. Like you'll always win. And I think that was so hard for me to grasp because, as I'm sure most people do, when you really want something and you're working for it along the journey, sometimes it is easy to compare yourself to others and to people younger than you who are doing things that you want to do or doing more than you, or people that came up with you that are maybe their journey is moving a bit quicker. So I feel like that was one of the main things. It's just like everything falls into place, everything works out, everything happens for a reason. And I believe too, there's room for everyone to kind of shine in their different industries and fields. And but yeah, we just have to support each other, support ourselves, and that it all kind of comes together when it is supposed to.
Yeah. How would you describe what your sole purpose is?
I feel like I'm still figuring that out, to be honest, but I do think in a general sense, helping others. So that can be as a friend, that can be with work, just in general. Like I always, since I've been very young, like to help people around me, people that I care about. And I gravitate towards people that, even just like in my relationships and stuff, I always gravitate towards people who I feel like could benefit from my help or my energy. And yeah, I kind of feel like that's my purpose. So right now, and at this point in my life, that's helping artists grow, helping artists understand what it means to be independent and how they can, still make it in this industry being independent, helping artists with their live portion of their careers, which is at this time, I feel like the biggest income stream. Artists aren't making that much money off of streaming or off of, physical sales. I mean, physical is coming back, but, like the bulk of their money is made from live shows, brand partnerships, endorsements, merch. So to be a part of that and like to help artists kind of, put money in their pocket and help them create their live experience, whatever that is, and support them on the road. That's something that I feel like I didn't know I was going to do or that I'd be good at doing or that I enjoy doing. But now I know that's something that I'm really passionate about and something that is really important. I was just speaking to someone's manager today, about how like when you go on your first tour, it's scary because you're spending so much time with people that you may or may not know very well, and then you spending more time than you would with your family or significant other, and you want to have someone there that you can really trust and that you feel exudes good energy and that is just going to support you through that time, because it's a roller coaster of emotions while you're traveling and being in different places, and so many different things kind of come up and happen, and yeah, you just want to have someone good on your side.
I do want to touch on, you as an artist manager. So this is like a great way to leeway into that. But, outside looking in, it seems like you've had a very pivotal year because Joyce dropped her independent debut album, and post quote unquote COVID, going on tour. And I know you're managing some other artists that aren't just, musicians
Yeah.
or singers. And, you turned 30 this year. You also have invested in like your passion for baking. So, how would you, before we dive deeper into each of these things, describe this season of your life?
I would say it's transitional. It's been, again, eye-opening. Like, I have been friends with Joyce since I was a kid, but I've been working with her since, I want to say, 2015. And I've always known her capabilities, and I've always believed in her, and I've always rooted for her. But with this album, it took so long. So I was just feeling, I think we were all feeling like, excited, but also a bit anxious, because it's just like, it's taking so long. It's her first like full body of work. And I was anticipating a good reaction, but I was not prepared for the reaction that we got. Like, it was insane. It's still insane. People talk, every time I see people, they're talking about it. It's the best album of the year. It's the best R&B album. Like, they're just so into it, and people are really inspired by it. And like, that's all I ever wanted, obviously, but I just was not prepared for the aftermath of that. And I'm so happy, because she worked really hard. Eddie, who is my co-manager for Joyce, and also Joyce's A&R, worked really hard to, connect her with amazing songwriters and producers, get her in sessions. And it was a lot of trial and error. Like, in the beginning, there's all these songs that I listen back to where I'm like, this song was not it. Like, but it took that session and another session and another session to get to like, On One, or like these songs that people love now. So I'm grateful for the whole process. But yeah, that has just been really eye-opening for me, because I've always seen Joyce as a star. I've always seen her as someone who's super talented, but now having everyone, and especially people who did not believe in her, like, just to be fully transparent, there are people who were like, she's not ready, she's too this, she's not enough of this. And now have those people be like, wow, I'm shocked. The curation of the music is amazing, the rollout was amazing, the marketing was amazing, the PR was amazing. Like, and to just know that that was really just a team of me, Joyce, and Eddie, and like our distribution partner, the Orchard, but she's still independent. So, it was just, yeah, really cool to see people appreciate someone who is not a new artist, and someone who's been working hard for a long time, but finally kind of get their flowers. So I'm really grateful for that. And like, of course, that the album doing so well opened up so many doors for her. Now she's in commercials, she's acting, she's always had a really good relationship with different brands, like working with brands, but now she's working with even bigger brands, and the opportunities that are coming are just a lot larger than what it was prior to the album. She's also collaborating and, building her relationships with other artists that she's always dreamed of working with. So it's like, it's just everything kind of happened like back to back to back. And I'm super happy for her and for our team, because it's a major win, like being an independent artist, but not only that, being a woman, being a Black woman in this industry and trying to do stuff independently. It's really challenging. And I feel that we did the best that we could. And I feel like people are receiving that, and people get that,
Yeah. I feel like I have so much, and this is something that has really come up for me this year, is just how much I respect artist managers, because so much work that y'all put in, that we don't see. And something that I wanted to ask you that came up for me as I was kind of brainstorming what I wanted to bring up in this conversation is, I feel like we often, we see the results of, your artist management. We see, the development of the artist and how the manager assists the artist, but we don't really see how the artist helps develop the manager as well. That kind of like reciprocation.
Yeah.
How would you say Joyce has assisted your development?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. And I feel like not only Joyce, but even Kiana, Esta, who I manage, who is a producer and a DJ, I feel like they've all helped me as much as I've helped them, because I learned from them. I learned from my mistakes with them. I learned from just like how passionate they are about what they do. That fuels me. I always say, or like, I feel like it is a saying that like the manager is not going to work. What is it saying? The manager shouldn't work as hard. Like the manager should only work as hard as the artist works, or something like that, pretty much. Because yeah. Anyways, but I think that, seeing how passionate they are, seeing how meticulous and like how they can be perfectionists about their work, about their art, that inspires me, just in my everyday life. And yeah, I think them giving me the opportunity to essentially like have their career in my hands, it's like a big trust thing. That has been really, I don't even know if I would say that that's kind of helped develop me, but that's been really nice for me to see and to know that these people trust me with their lives, with their livelihood also. Like if we don't get the right opportunities, like they're not going to be able to pay rent, they're not going to be able to, so like the fact that they see something in me, to trust me, to be able to manage their careers and their lives and their art is really, really, really amazing. But yeah, more specifically, I'm trying to think. I feel like just them being patient, like our relationship, like that in itself too. Because it's definitely not always pretty. Like there's lots of times where I'm frustrated with them or they're frustrated with me. And I feel like, I learned from that too. Like, okay, maybe I should approach things this way, or maybe, next time I'll do this. So yeah, I think just like with any relationship, romantic, family, work, like you learn and you grow. And I definitely feel like I get that from them too. So yeah, and they push me as well. Like they all are really, really supportive in like other things I do, like the bakery. I do like, I'm really into the holidays. So I do all like these little holiday parties and things like that. And they're super supportive with that. They all like pitched in and got me like a KitchenAid for my bakery. And they feed into the stuff that I like, and they really support me. So
yeah,
that too.
yeah. What would you say is like a very valuable awakening that you've had upon the success that you've experienced this year?
I don't know, maybe like perception is everything. I think again, there were people who weren't, and I'm not even saying this to be negative, it's just like really eye-opening and real to me, but there were people that were just not believing in the stuff that I was doing or that stuff that I was affiliated with. And then I feel like as soon as things started popping off on the internet, on the blogs and the things, and like now everyone wants to work with you. Now everyone wants to take meetings and do all these things, when it's like, I was trying to take meetings with you 2 years ago and you were saying it wasn't it. Or that, I should focus on this artist and not this artist. And so I think that has been kind of like one of the most one of the like big lessons I'm learning. Like perception is everything. So if everyone thinks, okay, Joyce is on fire, we got to work with her, that's like a ripple effect that keeps happening. And then that also helps like what I'm doing with my other artists. Like, oh, Joyce is on fire, and the manager for Joyce is the same manager as Esta. Let's work with Esta on this, this, and this. Like, it's really crazy how things work. And even now, how Instagram, which I have a love and hate relationship with, is like your portfolio, So something that one of the things that I do go back and forth with and argue about sometimes with the artists is like the posting and showcasing your achievements and your accolades and obviously your art. And they feel sometimes really uncomfortable to do that. And I'm like, look, in this new age, like perception is everything. So even though you may not think your, you know, whatever thing that you did with this company or this brand is a big deal, that's going to help you get other jobs. So, you know, you should share that and you should be proud of that. And, you know, don't be so caught up in what others think of you. So yeah, with more success, obviously they always say with more success, with more money comes more problems. So not saying that I have any problems right now, but I just feel like, you know, people are watching and people observe and people move based on how the world, I feel like, is kind of viewing you and perceiving you. So that's been a realization for me.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably an adjustment too, right? Like for the artists and the success that they experience to like really come into their power in a way and like really own, you know, like, and also, you know that they deserve to, you know, show off, quote unquote, everything that they've worked hard for and that they're achieving.
Yeah, I think that's like, surprisingly, that's one of the major things that they're scared of doing. Like I had this conversation with the artist that I'm working with right now too the other day about like, yeah, you got all this great press, like go show that off. And it's like, I don't know, it feels too this, I'm like, dude, it is what it is. Like it's happening because the product is good. It's happening because you put it's genuine. Like just be happy for yourself and be proud of yourself. Also just, you know, kind of like I was saying, being on another, like having a bigger platform than you did prior. Like Joyce, I think her social media has just, it's grown organically. Like I'm telling you, like there's no money put into it. There's no like she was dating a rapper and then she got poppin'. Like it's literally organic followers on every platform. It's gone from like, I don't even know, like almost 100K plus, like skyrocketed. So I feel like with that too, now you have more eyes, more ears, like more people judging you. And I think that's really hard to deal with. There's a lot of positives about doing well and becoming more successful, but there's also a lot of struggles. And a perfect example of that is, you know, Joyce sang the national anthem at the Canelo fight, which is such a big thing for someone who's independent, someone who's a female, a Black female, you know, from a small town in San Diego. And like to be able to do that, millions of people are watching you, you know, and I was nervous because like before her, like Demi Lovato did it, Jamie Foxx did it, like really big people. So, you know, having that platform and doing something like that, even though you think you're like doing well or big in your little circle, right? Like, and then doing something like that, your circle and your, like the eyes on you is expanding so much, right? So doing that, and then, you know, she didn't have her best rendition of the national anthem for this fight, right? And we've never had haters or like, you know, there's been like one or two comments in maybe her whole career, right, that were not great. But like after doing this national anthem in front of like millions of people, and then, you know, your social media gets flooded with people who have never heard of you, that you do not know, that they don't, you know, they're from a totally different circle or world. And then just have them start bashing you on the internet. And it was instantaneously, like as she's singing the national anthem, people are like on her Twitter, on her Instagram. Like that was something that, even though I know that happens because I've worked with other artists that are big, and I've clearly seen that happen to, you know, some of our favorite artists, I was not prepared. So when that happened and people were being super nasty and super negative and super like discouraging in the comments and stuff, I was just like, this is something that I need to mentally prepare for and prepare her for, because it's only going to get worse as your platform, you know, widens and as more eyes are on you. So I feel like we handled it in a mature way, but like for a minute I was like super protective and like salty. But that's something that like a Justin Bieber faces every day, or like a, Chris Brown, or Taylor Swift, whatever. Like, so I was just telling myself my own mental note, like, you need to get used to this. You need to be able
Yeah.
to control your emotions. You need to be able to like just not read the comments, not, and yeah, that's just another thing that I'm noticing with more attention and more success.
Yeah.
Type of things start to happen.
Yeah. The growing pains.
Yeah, exactly. But it
Yeah.
has to have, like, it can't all be,
Yeah.
shiny.
It's inevitable. Yeah. It's inevitable. And it is eye opening because then you realize like just how people are too, it's just like, it's wild. It's
Yeah,
wild.
it's a
Um,
crazy. And everyone that I told, I'm like, can you believe it? Like, people are bashing Joyce on social media. They're like, it's social, that's internet. Like, that's how it is. Like, they're trolls. They're like people talking from their burner accounts. And I'm like, yeah, but Joyce, like, no one ever, she's like so nice and like, girl next door, like no one's ever hating on her. But that's just, again, when you widen your audience, we had people from like every country being like, you this, you that, you that. And I'm just like, what? Like, this is really how it is. But yeah, like once you go outside of your little LA circle, like that's, there's other people on the internet who are not going to like you. So that was a little lesson for me.
it is, very, as you mentioned with the touring, that it's an emotional journey. And, something that I wanted, I was curious about in regards to, dropping Overgrown is, especially having experienced, a response that is great, but was also somewhat unexpected. I know for me, I can only speak for myself and also for other creatives that I talk to about this. When we work on a project, especially a big project for a while, and then it's finally out in the world, those like first few days, it's like such a mixture of emotions. It's like also this like kind of a void of like, okay, it's done. This is all right. How share with us like what your emotional experience was after that was dropped.
Yeah, it's, me and Joyce talk about it all the time. I feel like I'm still processing it. And
Mm,
even though it was what, 7, 8 months ago now, like, I just, when it first happened, I remember like driving down Melrose and seeing like all the wheat pasting posters, and driving in downtown and seeing the billboards, like the digital billboards and things. And I still, like, when I look back at those images and stuff, I don't believe it. Like, it's so crazy to me.
mm-hmm.
And it's hard to like take all that in at what, because you're like working and trying to make sure everything's flowing smooth. And, you know, at that time it was like go, 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 go. Like, as soon as we put the album out, we were prepping for a live stream show. And then after that, we were prepping to travel. And it was just like back to back to back. So I feel like I never fully got to like take it in. And I feel like at the end of this year, I'm going to have a reflection of, from January to December, and be like, wow, that was crazy. But yeah, those first few days, I was just, I remember the day that the album came out, and I was like thinking about what I wanted to share and stuff. And I was like really emotional, and I was like in bed crying, because I just, yeah, it's like a baby. Like, you prep for the day for so long, and then it's out there, and then again, you don't know how people are going to react to it, what they're going to say, how they're going to receive it. So yeah, it was really, really, really interesting, because I was excited, but I was nervous. And I also feel like I wasn't fully grasping like what had just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I feel like I was excited and stuff, but I'm still kind of processing that moment, and all the feedback that we've gotten.
Yeah, I can imagine. And congrats, by the way. Like I have to say that because, this is just the beginning. And I'm sure for you, it feels like, well, this isn't really the beginning though, because, but there's so much more exciting experiences ahead of you all, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. But to pivot a little bit out of the career life, you turned 30 this year.
Yes, I did.
I mean, I feel like a woman coming into this new decade it's pivotal, I feel. You know, coming out of your 20s and into your 30s, I feel like it has a different essence to it. How did that transition feel for you? Like coming out of your 20s, and I'm sure you also reflected on how your 20s were and how your 30s will be.
Yeah, it was really, again, I feel like everything happened so quickly and I was busy at that time. So I wasn't really like able to sit. That's what I'm noticing in general. Like I need to be more in the present because I'm always like thinking about the next thing, thinking about the next day, the next week, the next month, and what I have. So I'm not able to really sit in what's happening until later. And that's something that I want to change and work on. But yeah, I kind of like the caption on my Instagram says, like, I've wanted to be 30 for a long time. I think 30 for me symbolizes a really important time in adulthood. Whereas, like, when you're from 20 to 30, you're a completely different person. Like, your life changes so much. I don't even know the 20-year-old Jasmine, you know? And
Yeah.
30 to 40, I feel like that's the same thing. Like usually from that in that decade, you will, a lot of people will, maybe buy their first home, get married, have children, if that's something that you want to do, have like a career advancement. I feel like it's a really, really, really important time. And speaking to my friends, they told me it's the best years of their life, the 30s, which people had told me that about their 20s, but someone broke it down to me really well, saying like when you're 20s, you're still kind of discovering yourself, figuring out what you want to do. And that can be painful and really stressful sometimes. And you're also like not as some people, but not as financially stable as you'll be in your 30s. And you're literally coming from your teens and like being a child still, I feel like, into being an adult. So 30s to 40s, people say with that a little more knowledge and with being a little bit more established, you have more fun and you just kind of live life differently than you did in your 20s. Like things that are important to you now weren't necessarily priorities or important to you in your 20s. Like I definitely do not go out. Like I don't drink. I've been like pretty much sober for like I think 3 years. Like I have no desire to like go to a nightclub or like to go to Vegas to party. Like that's just not. I'm really content like chilling at the house and, going to dinners and yeah, like it's just a completely different mindset, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy to be where I'm at now in my 30s. I was a little bit like nervous when my 30s were coming up because I was like, oh, this is not what I imagined. Like when I was a teenager, I thought, okay, during my 30s, I'm going to be this. And I'm not necessarily there, but I also didn't project that I was going to be doing what I'm doing right now. So again, everything happens for a reason. Timing is everything. But yeah, I'm actually really happy with what I'm doing, where I'm at, who I'm surrounded by, where I live. Like everything feels good and everything, I know that this is how it's supposed to be for now. So yeah, I'm really grateful to be 30 and I'm really excited for my 30s. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say is like a past version of yourself in your 20s, like a specific year in your 20s where you look back at it and you're like, man, I'm very appreciative of that version of Jasmine, or, a year that like you're proud you overcame it, or you were just like, it's just very, really contributes to like the development of like who you are now.
Yeah, I think that's definitely probably my college time. So that was from like 18 to like 20, I think 23 for me. It was hard. Like I was working multiple jobs. I didn't really like school. But I wanted to graduate, and I wanted to, like, not only for my parents, for myself as well, but I wanted to do what I'm doing now. Like I wanted to do that so bad. So I was just like, why do we have to go to school? Like I want to like pretty much expedite my life and just kind of, skip the school stuff. But I knew that, I just needed to, I committed, I need to finish. So that was a really hard time for me because I was working nonstop, trying to get through school, putting myself through school off of like part-time jobs. So it was definitely, now when I look back, just my decision making, my emotional intelligence, my spending habit, like just everything I was doing, it was very young and very, just, I think too, I was a bit, I feel like I did a good job, and I was definitely responsible, but there are parts of me that I feel like were a bit naive and just really, I was still young and figuring things out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when I look back at that version, I'm just like, she had fun. She did what she needed to do, but I'm completely different now
Yeah.
in a good
Yeah.
way. I think I needed that. Like my friends are always like, well, Jasmine had her like years of drinking and going out and partying. And like, I don't even really feel like I did. It was very low key, but I needed to probably experience that to realize it's not really for me. And yeah, now I feel like I'm like a chill auntie. Like I'm always, like I said, just chill at the house, go to dinner, like bake. I'm not really that same person. But yeah, that was hard for me. Being in school, working a lot, and trying to figure out like how am I gonna dive into this career that I want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw a post that you posted where you were reflecting on, it was a picture of you at your college graduation. And in the caption, you had mentioned that, like, at the time you wanted to be in journalism. And then in the last, bit of your college years, you realize that's actually not what you want to do, which I can imagine was like a hard realization at the time. And you also thought, I forgot exactly what it was, but you moved to Japan, was it?
Yeah.
And you thought that there was, what career did you think you wanted to do there? And it ended up not really working out the way you
I
imagined.
wanted to do wardrobe styling,
Mm-hmm.
and I was also teaching English there.
Mm,
But yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like that time was very stressful because I was so gung ho about like wanting to do journalism, and I was like, I want to be an entertainment reporter, which like I still feel like I could do, in like another life maybe. I feel like I could do it, and there's some interest there. But I majored in that, and yeah, just the last year I was just like, this is not it for me. I was not into it, and I was just not feeling fulfilled. It was very like, I don't know, I think also just like the people I was going to school with, they were so hungry, like they wanted to be news reporters for like local news stations, and now I wasn't really aligning with that. I wanted to do something a little bit more exciting. And so yeah, I was just like, what am I going to do? And I thought, again, a little bit naive, but I thought, moving to Japan and like putting myself in an environment where nobody knows me and just starting over fresh was going to make my life perfect.
mm-hmm.
And that was not the case. Like it was actually really hard for me there. I was super homesick. My mom's Japanese and I was born there, and I go there every year, but I was feeling not accepted. Like there was a lot of layers to why my time there was kind of stressful.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot, and that there are like really beautiful things about my time there. But yeah, it was super. it was that was eye-opening too, kind of just being like, okay, this is not what I expected it was going to be. What am I going to do? I'm trying to do this wardrobe thing, it's not working out. I'm teaching English, I'm feeling drained. And then literally, I think it was like the week or the month that I was moving back, I had hit up Esta being like, do you need any help? Like, I feel like I maybe want to work in the music industry. I don't know. I love music, but I don't really know how to work in the music industry. I didn't major in music business. And everyone, even to this day, is like, you do not need a degree in artist management or music. Like, it's not required. It's mostly, from experience and from having a good mentor and just being in the field and learning. So I had hit up Esta, and then he was like, yeah, I actually need some help. I'm getting really busy. I'm touring a lot. And so as soon as I came back, I was like, I met with him and his two managers at the time. And then they were like, yeah, like, we'd love to bring you on. And that was like my intro into music. So it wasn't even with Joyce, even though we've been friends for so long, like, it was with him. And I've been on his team this whole time. I was started off as an assistant, and then I became a part of the management team. And then now it's only me and my partner, Monty, who work with him. And it's been great, because I did not know what I was doing.
Yeah.
That started as soon as I got back, and I still had to work, obviously, because I wasn't really getting paid in the beginning. So I was working like 3 jobs and like assisting him and like going to shows at night, waking up and going to work. So
Yeah. How long were you in Japan for?
1 year.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was enough for me. Like, I had originally went there thinking I was going to stay for multiple years, maybe like get married, like have a family there. Like, I was just looking at it as like, I need to get out of America. This is going to be great. Because every time I visited, it was so great. But visiting and living in a place is not the same. And my mom kept telling me that. And I realized that the hard way when I went there. Amazing though, like, so clean, great food, like good quality, everything. The people are very, like, there's great customer service, and they're very nice and stuff. But there was just certain elements that I realized were really challenging.
Yeah.
And it just, long term, I don't think for me personally it works.
Yeah. What's a lesson that, out of, I'm sure, the many that you gained from living there and from that experience?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, it kind of made me realize, how I think in America we're so we feel like the United States is the world, like, we're so like in this. But like, when you move to another country, it's different. There's so many things that are different, and it was hard for me to adapt. I'm like, why do I have to do it like this? I did it like this my whole life. In America we do it like this, but it's just, that's how they do it. So kind of just adapting to another culture, even though it's my culture. I didn't grow up with that. So it was really challenging for me, adapting to this culture that all of a sudden seemed foreign. The way that they do things and their customs are very different than here. And I appreciate them now, because there's a reason for why they do everything they do. But I think that's like maybe a lesson, just like, be more open and understanding of, what other people do and why they do it. And I think I was on my high horse about America. Maybe, like, I was just like, well, this is the best way, because this is, where I grew up. This is like my place. But like, I think that would have made my experience easier if I was just more adaptable and more understanding of some of the things, because some of the things were just hard for me to process. I'm like, why is it this way? It's so frustrating. There's 10 extra steps, where in California I could just do, step 1. So I think that maybe.
Yeah. Something that's coming up for me as you've been sharing, this time of your life with us is just like, I see you in these times just like really trying to find out what your purpose is and what you're meant to do in the world, and what feels good to you and what you want to invest your time and energy into. And I think, we can be very hard on ourselves in those seasons of our lives. And I think it's important that we acknowledge our efforts when we're in those seasons of trying to figure out what path we want to walk on.
Yeah.
And just like really be proud of ourselves for putting in that effort, even if we feel like we still haven't figured that out or discovered what exactly it is. It's like, be proud of yourself for trying and for trying new things. And, you moving all the way over there that was a huge thing. And I'm
Yeah.
sure coming back too, and realizing like, well, that's not what I thought it was going to be.
Right.
Um, I I recently saw one of your tweets, and you said that when the universe is testing you, just take a deep breath.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask, like, do you feel like the universe has been testing you lately?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the universe is always testing me. I just, again, kind of what I said earlier, like with more success, with everything, like there's more responsibility, there's more work to do,
Mm-hmm.
and there's more stress. And I just feel like, even though I'm so appreciative and grateful and happy for how this year has gone, like there's been many moments where I'm like stressed out and where I'm really overwhelmed. And I think a lot of that too is my own doing. Like I do take on a lot. I like to be busy.
Mm-hmm.
But that comes with the price, like
Mm-hmm.
right now I have Joyce, Esta, and then I also oversee Yves Antonio, who does like all of Joyce's visuals, who actually just did Esta's visual that came out today. And then I freelance tour manage. So I don't need to do all those things, but people ask me and I'm like, sure,
Yeah.
especially if I'm passionate about it or if I'm excited about them. And yeah, that just sometimes I stress myself out or I overwhelm myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I feel like they are like little tests here and there, like, how are you going to react to this situation, Jasmine? How are you going to bounce back from what you said? Or how are you going to handle like this mess? And I feel I can see within myself that the way that I would have responded to things in the past or handled things is a lot different now. Like I'm still working on myself, of course, but I'm more aware of how I'm delivering things that I say. I'm more aware of just like certain things, certain battles that I want to be a part of. Like I try to pick and choose. Yeah, I do feel that I get tested sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a part of life and it's a part of, growing and getting more, like I said, responsibility and success and things. So I'm not mad at it. It's just that was like a reminder to myself.
Yeah. Yeah. What is something that, or a test, quote unquote, that you're proud of yourself for passing recently?
I think even just like Day in Vegas, right? That was a festival that happened 2 weeks ago. It's just festivals are messy. Like there's always going to be something wrong, like audio wise, like stage wise, gear, like people not showing up. Like there's always just going to be something. And I felt tested like the week prior and the weekend because there were just so many elements. I had 3 artists that I was working with, um, and things were not necessarily like going well. Like it was going well, but it was just, there's always something that pops up, right? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was just like, oh my gosh, again, why did I take on all this work? Why did I agree to do this? I am not sleeping well. I'm not eating well. I feel exhausted. My emails are overflowing. But it was like, look, you clearly this wouldn't have been put in front of you if you couldn't do it. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
do it. You're going to make it through the weekend. And all of the artists had like little hiccups, little things, but it was nothing that like left them feeling defeated or nothing that ruined their show. There's definitely things where I was like, damn, I wish I could have like tightened that up or made sure that didn't happen. But for the time that I had and just like where I was at, I feel like I did the best that I could. So that was kind of like a test, you know, just like, are you going to be able to make it through this weekend without like having a breakdown? And there was a few times where I was just like, oh my God, I can't do this. But again, I always believe like wouldn't be put in front of me, you know, if I couldn't do it. So I definitely feel like that is probably the most recent one.
It seems like you affirm yourself, like that's your coping in a
Yeah.
way of like, I can do this, like pep talking yourself through things, which I love. So I'm guessing maybe words of affirmation are like your love language.
Yeah, I do love words of affirmation. I feel like too, I have learned through the years that speaking things into existence, and also like, I don't really like the term, but faking it till you make it. Like if I'm just like, I'm going to be good. I'm going to be good. Even if inside I'm like terrified, I'm just going to keep saying that until like it gets there, you know, because there's no like value in just freaking out and being, you know, a mess if you don't know what the outcome is. So I just tell myself like, yeah, this is going to be amazing. This is going to be the best. Like I'm not worried at all, even if that's not necessarily what I'm feeling inside. And I find that that works for me, because why like psych myself out by being like, oh my gosh, oh my God, this is going to be so bad. This is a failure. This is a, you know, it just doesn't work. It makes me more stressed. Even like I said, looking back to the like national anthem thing, like I was not handling it well. I was freaking out, and like, it's normal, I feel like, but I also am just like, I don't need to do that. Like I can steer clear of that type of thinking and just think, you know, what's tomorrow going to be like? And that's hard, but I feel like, you know, that works.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the last thing that I want to bring up in this conversation, because I am curious and I want to touch on it, is your baking.
Yeah.
What is your relationship with baking?
Baking started during COVID as like therapy for me. My therapist at the time was so amazing, but so busy. And also, I had stopped working, like my main job, my main source of income. So, like, therapy, unfortunately, wasn't really in the cards for me financially. So, I was just like, I need an outlet. Like, we are stuck in the house. I am, you know, I just need something to do to keep my mind, you know, from wandering. And I started baking for fun. I've always like enjoyed cooking, but I don't do it enough to, I feel like, be really good at it. And so like baking was just easy because I could just try new things, eat some, give some away. And when I started baking and giving it away, that's when I felt the most joy, because people, you know, everyone was in a different place mentally, but everyone was like somewhat, you know, going through it. So like to just be able to bake, get in my car, like go for a ride and like drop off, you know, baked goods and stuff to my friends and people that I haven't seen for months, and just do like a car exchange, was so cool. And they like, people were so happy to just see someone, like the little things, you know, people were so happy to see someone, to receive something that was handmade by someone. And that kind of created this whole thing where people were like, I want something, like, I'm at home, bring me something, come visit me. And then yeah, I kept doing it. And then it got to a point where, you know, I'm baking so much, I'm actually pretty gluten intolerant, but I like just don't care because I love bread and all
Yeah.
these things. So I wouldn't be able to eat a lot of, like, I would just eat a little bit to make sure it didn't taste crazy. And then like I would give mostly everything away. So it just became this thing where people are like, when are you going to sell? When are you going to do this? And I'm like, I'm not trying to do stuff like and turn it into a business, because like I still want it to be fun. Everyone's like, no, it could be fun, and people are going to be really, really into your stuff, and people are going to buy your stuff, and it's just like extra money. And I think during COVID, everyone kind of, you know, again, like how I was saying earlier, saw what was valuable to them, what made them happy, and then kind of channeled their energy into that and created new businesses and created new, you know, all kinds of things. So I was like, okay, people keep telling me, let me try it. So then I did like my first reel, was like honestly like a year ago, my first real like sell situation, and it kind of like went crazy, and I underestimated again, like the amount of orders and stuff I was going to get. And so for like 2 weeks, I was waking up at like 7 a.m., going to sleep at midnight, baking that whole time with one small oven in my apartment, like not really having all the tools. Like now I have way more stuff, but like back then I had like nothing. I was using random stuff to make these cakes and things. And yeah, that it was just, it kind of grew from there. And then I started doing pop-ups and bake sales. And then I just, did my first piece of merch the other day or the other, like, a few months ago. And like, yeah, it's been really cool. I did not anticipate it growing, but I did a pop-up when I was in New York. Everything sold out. People I don't know showed up. It's been really, really cool. But I want to keep it fun. So I don't want to like feel like it's a job. I want to keep it fun. I want to do it when I feel like doing it. So then there's no, like, my energy while I'm doing it is good. Like I don't want to feel forced.
I feel like I remember when you first announced it, and it was around holiday season last year. And I remember like scrolling your website, and I think it was an olive oil cake, maybe. I don't know, I could be wrong, but it looks so bomb.
Yeah, that's like what everyone likes. They love that because it's not too sweet, but it's super moist. And it's just like good to like bring to people's houses and stuff for the holidays.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
So,
love that. And thank you so much for this whole conversation. I really appreciate you sharing everything from, your personal life to your professional life. And I do want to hold space if you feel called to share anything else, but if not, it's all good.
yeah, no, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being patient with me because I've been wanting to do this with you for a long time. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything else. I loved how this has like intention, even like you asked me what I'm grateful for. I love that theme. And yeah, I'm glad that you felt that I am interesting enough to share like parts of my life. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, gratitude received and reciprocated. And I'm sincerely like honored to, put this conversation in this season of your life like in a jar, in a container, because I feel like this is a very special time for you. And yeah, I'm just grateful